because he thought that we can always only use human active. No, the US FDA approved and other communities approved. And you can see that the 3 studies, I'm not going into details of the studies, but these 3 studies in 2005 and 2006 has proved, and there are multi-center studies which has proved that you can use analogs in pregnancy in safely without having any teratogenic effect or any effect on the mother. Now, long-acting insulin has again changed the treating the diabetes in a very different way. The 2 most important is glargine and detamere. And it's in the insulin detamere is significantly less variable and more predictable. You can see the differences that you can see in the 68% NPH, the hemoglobin A1 reduction 68%. Glargine is 48 and 27. There is levemir, which is a trade name of detamere, in the coefficient values and standard deviations means that is a more predictable detamere, and is shown here. 3 advantages of predictability: less hypoglycemia, improved glycemic control, no undesirable weight gain, and less weight gain. That's again the long-acting insulin, especially the analog insulin, is coming very handy, especially in people who you want to start fresh with a high sugar. As you know, the criteria is if you have a more than 300 sugars when you first diagnose, it should be ideally insulin, because that protects the beta cells, it reduces the apoptosis, and it's beta cell preservation theory. So there, you can always counsel the patients to use once a day, and which patients' acceptability is very high. And second, the cases are where you have a secondary drug failure, where you're using all oral hypoglycemic and the sugar is not controlled. There, using one single dose of long-acting comes very handy. And you can see that there is a lot of studies which shows that if you use NPH and levemir, there is a difference, and it's a significant difference. You can see the levemir is in green and yellow is NPH, the standard one which you use all the time. And all these studies shows the differences where the the blood sugar control is much better. And the risk of nocturnal hypoglycemia, well, it's horrendously low. You can see minus 33, minus 32, minus 26, and all these studies shows that anyone who's complained with NPH and nocturnal hypoglycemia should be put on a long-acting analogs. Well, there is a difference between things too. Nocturnal hypoglycemia is less with the detamere, and nocturnal hypoglycemia and major effects of hypoglycemia less with detamere. And this is shown compared to glargine, which is the Lantus, is quite popular one. But again, this is something you have to, you have to know one insulin better than just thinking of getting hypoglycemia because you haven't known the molecule and you are using it wrongly is with the ideal thing. But still, I would say that detamere has a less persons of nocturnal hypoglycemia and major episodes of hypoglycemia. In this less undesirable weight gain is again a very big problem for diabetics, and compared to NPH, you can see the weight gain is much less. The reason is very simple. You're using less insulin to control the sugar. The less the insulin, the more the less the weight gain. And when you're using NPH, you'll be using more NPH. 12 weeks following insulin therapy, weight gain, you can see the difference. You weight gain, total fat and visceral fat from NPH and levemir is much less with levemir, and that is directly related or indirectly related with CV mortality. Waist circumference and body weight reduction after insulin detamere therapy, again quite a bit of difference, and that again take care of your CV mortality. And first and only basal insulin to be approved in GDM pregnancy category B indicates that insulin detamere does not pose a higher risk for harm for unborn when used in pregnant women with diabetes. Still, I know that there are few still there are a few people, gynecologists who's been using 4 or 5 times regular insulin, and it becomes for a mother quite a big problem. Use them. We can use a long-acting analog insulin just when the requirement is low, and it has much less chances of hypoglycemia. And is approved for children with more than 2 years old. It's a once daily use, and we can use it. I've already told you about with OAD. We can use it with novorapid as basal bolus therapy, or for both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. We can use in GDM, and we can use in children. Now comes the premix model insulin. That is what we are now going to talk about. Is biphasic insulin aspart is Novomix 30, biphasic insulin aspart Novomix 50, and Lispro mix is 2575. You can see that this is a unique thing, that soluble insulin in protamine crystallized insulin aspart. So both are aspart. So the one of them is protamine crystallized, and one is soluble insulin. They comes in this mix. In premix insulin, regular insulin with an NPH, with both different type of insulin, they are pre-mixed. So there is sometimes a problem in their solution. The dual release concept, which has come from the Novorapid, takes care of the first physiological pyramidal peak and the long-acting insulin analog for basal needs, and that's close to the what we call basal bolus therapy. Bolus is for the prandial, and the basal is which gives the sugar throughout 24 hours normal range. Premium analog is both meal related and basal insulin, as you see, that closely mimics the physiology and is going down close enough to physiological. So 30, you can see this the difference when you use a Novomix 30 and you can use a human insulin 3070 premix. You see the peak is up and then slowly goes down, and within sort of 8 hours you can see this comes to almost basal level, whereas you can see this is going off. The peak is not that up, which we have already shown you a couple of times. So you can see this mealtime differences of postprandial and just after food, and you see the differences of 93 patients. This is a beautiful study where actually 92 patients were diabetic, where we have taken, and these patients were given before breakfast the 3 insulins, which I'm going to talk next. Next slide will prove this. They have a mean plasma glucose quite high, and they have been given this preprandial injections before breakfast, and it has been shown that superior PPG control with human mixture versus human biphasic insulin, 30% reductions compared to the human mixture. And you can see the studies, it's quite a big one. We took in 128 patients for the Novomix one and 141 patients for no human mixture one. And there's a considerable sugar control, more than 30%. In low risk of major hypoglycemia, only 20 events are seen in Novomix and 42 events, which is quite high in the other one. And 50% reduction, related risk reduction of hypoglycemia in this study. And once daily biphasic, it has Novomix 30 effectively lowers hemoglobin A1C. You can see the 4 studies, 1, 2, 3, in fact 5 studies, which shows how much from H1 to it has gone down to 7.6, 8.6 to 7.2, 9.6 to 8.2, 9.5 to 6.8, 10.1 to 1.9, 8.2. So you can see the close to up to from 0.5 to up to close to 2 of hemoglobin A1C reduction, which is quite high. So mealtime insulin secretion is people with type 2 diabetes is impaired. This is what a diabetes pathophysiology, that you get insulin secretion which is gone wrong with type 2 diabetes mellitus. And patients with, and you get a fasting blood glucose, which might be close to normal, but your PPG sugars will go on. And this is a normal subject. This is fasting blood glucose hyperglycemia is normal, but PP sugar is gone up. This is a fasting sugar is gone up as well. And this is a fasting sugar which is very high. And this is a fasting glucose which is very, very high. So reduced insulin secretion coincide with the raised plasma glucose. So these earlier slides, if you haven't understood, you can see this is a theory that when you have high sugar, the further the sugar goes up, the further the insulin production goes down. This is called glucotoxicity, and that is why we can't use when the sugar is high more than 300. You cannot use a oral hypoglycemic, because oral hypoglycemic what it causes is stimulates the islet cells to produce more insulin. So insulin goals and other things doesn't work. You have to give insulin because it causes glucotoxicity, and for the glucotoxicity people, you have to use insulin to bring them back to normal gear again, and so that you can start at oral hypoglycemia. And that is what is exactly, you can see that the more the plasma glucose, the less the insulin secretion. Insufficient prandial insulin leads to postprandial hyperglycemia. And this is called, you can see the mills, and you can see every time the mills goes up, you can do the hyperglycemia is going up. And this is a diabetic patient. So postprandial blood glucose again contributes to the 70% of the glucose load. That's most important. And this is what is shown in this slide. It's a very intelligent and a very important slide. If you have a hemoglobin A1C less than 7.3, you can see the postprandial blood sugar is almost 70%, which takes care of the hemoglobin A1C. If it goes to the 10, its postprandial sugar is almost only 30% and 70% the fasting blood sugar. This is very important, and this has culminated by the ADA and European Diabetic Associations to start with the basal bolus therapy. The whole concept of treatment of diabetic has come from this, because our goal is to reduce the hemoglobin A1C less than 7, if possible less than 6.5. So that is what happens, and what happens is, if you start here, you can see that if someone who comes to you with a 350 sugar, doesn't matter. If you see the ADA guidelines, they have mentioned that the hemoglobin A1C should be taken, the parameters to how to treat. And here, you can see this, if patient comes with more than 10.2 a hemoglobin A1C, we take care of the fasting sugar, which contributes 70% of the hemoglobin A1C. And that's why they have said that you start a basal insulin. A basal insulin, which basal insulin means in the fasting state, which takes care of the blood sugar. So the basal insulin should be started there. Once you take care of fasting sugar, the fasting sugar comes down to normal, then the hemoglobin A1C, whatever is, because that will, the fasting sugar, if you take care of the fasting sugar by a long-acting insulin, then when it comes down to normal, you are keeping an eye on the fasting sugar. The chances of hypoglycemia always happen in the fasting state, not in postprandial. So the patient is not getting hypoglycemia, patient is getting used to the insulin, getting confident that I'm getting better, and your hemoglobin A1C comes down from 10.1 to 7.3 or 8.5 or lower one. There, once you've taken the fasting blood glucose, now you can give your thought on the postprandial one, which are taking care of the hemoglobin A1C. So there you will be using, basal has been taken care, bolus has to be used now. So you will be using short-acting insulin. The same thing for convenience, just like we wear ready-made shirts, they have used a pre-mixed one, so that used a fixed combination which can take the bolus as well as the basal one. And as it will have 12 or 15 hours of duration, we can use it twice a day. In the protabine one, which acting the long one, is taking care of the fasting one, the basal ones, and the short acting, the aspart one, is taking care of the mealtime one. Is the concept of how you're going to take care of patients who has come with a high hemoglobin A1C or even a low one hemoglobin A1C, what would be your. So you can see this, some patients on twice daily premix may not be able to reach hypoglycemic targets. Adding a third injection at lunchtime may improve glycemia in the middle of the day, but not at other meals. Solution at thrice daily regimens of a high ratio premix containing 50 or 70 rapid acting insulins may produce postprandial hypoglycemia. This is again our concept why, if we have 30, why we need 70 and 50 and things. Again, it's this, you can see that we have 50, 30, and 70s. 70s, I don't think it's still available, I don't know. The company will provide with that. But again, it's premix insulin, the premix insulin analogs give a better postprandial glucose control than the human premix, which already I've shown that. See the difference, 10% of it, human log, 17% Novomix, and compared to the premix human insulin. And safety profile. The safety profile now we have people have very concerned about the cancerogenic effects of insulin and things, and they have IGF or 1R affinity, which is again a parameter where the safety is considered handy. And you can see that aspart has the lowest one, the safety as far as the safety is provided, you can the glargine, which has the highest. So to summarize, insulin analog compared to human insulin provides more predictable action, superior PPG reduction, better glycemic control, less hypoglycemias, less undesirable weight gain, mealtime flexibility. Designer insulins have raised great expectations. Arrival of the rapid-acting insulin will improve patients' convenience, reduce postprandial glucose expressions, lower risk of hypoglycemia. Availability of analogs will help our prescription strategies to be tailored to individual needs as it best possible control. Provide physicians appropriate tools to overcome obstacles, improve metabolic control and outcomes. Proper insulin analogs allow people with diabetic greater flexibility in their time of meal, snacks, exercise, enhances their ability to live normal life. Thank you. So I'm open now.